Lynette with Charm Grammy Crochet. How are you today? I am filming this on Wednesday, but I wanted to be up on Thursday on Thanksgiving to wish all of my subscribers, specifically in the U.S., a happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone will have a great day. If you're not in the U.S. or you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. But the whole purpose of this video is, well, it's to talk about crochet because I am a crochet channel. And I want to thank you for being here in general. If it's your first time, I hope you come back again and again. And if you are a long-time subscriber, I'm so glad that you come back again and again. Today's video is a Happy Thanksgiving video. Sorry, I don't have any Thanksgiving decorations. I don't have any Thanksgiving clothing. I don't have anything like that here in this camper. So we're just going to have to pretend. Well, today's is a short video. I'm just going to talk about the two projects that I have worked on. I have 4 really whips on the luck of the draw, but I have to wait till tomorrow, Thursday, to be able to work on that. And I showed you that, up to date in another video. So no sense to do that. And I have my ones spring crochet along that I have to work on. I haven't worked on that because I have other more pressing things that I have to get done, which is the point of the next 2 things that I've been working on. I am doing this sweater. It is called the Toasty Wheat sweater, I think. How come it's not on the front page of the pattern? I thought it was already. I think it's the Toasty Wheat sweater. I know Billie is also doing it. She saw it when we were talking in Zoom one day, or after. Oh, you know what? Because I didn't have the right picture up. I thought I was trying to be so prepared. Oh, this is a better, closer picture. Yeah, Toasty Wheat Crochet Pullover by Brianna Designs. See how pretty it is? And you make it in one piece. So the only sewing is down the inside seams here. You do it, which I didn't realize when I was picking out the yarn and trying to figure out if I would have enough. You do the ribbing at the same time even as you make the sweater. So that being said, most of the sweater is done in just a half double crochet stitch, like a back and forth in the front of one, front loop, back loop, and it's really pretty, and I really am enjoying the I'm gonna do this, yeah. So I really am enjoying making it. I've never, as I've said before, made a sweater in this manner before. I've done cardigans. I have done a couple of pullovers. And actually one that actually fit somebody, the person it was intended for. Everything else never has fitted the right person. But I did find other people that would wear it, or, that could fit. But this particular sweater is done as one piece. And on this one, the front, just here in this section, is the wheat stitch. Everything else is done in this stitch pattern here. I am using Bernat Premium in the color Deep Purple. And I'm telling you, I love this Deep Purple. It's like it's my color. It's my purple color. So the sleeves, you start with sleeve number 1, you do the ribbing, you make the sleeve, then you come down and do the length of the sweater. And I had 4 skeins and a little bit. It calls for like just about 1,500 yards of yarn, and I had just under that. So my original thought was, I will do the trim in a lavender color, and then it should be, I should have enough. But then I didn't realize, like, the trim being the ribbing, the edging on the collar, the ribbing here, because it's going to end up with little blue butterflies on it. Well, this is, I did the little ball. The little ball went like 3/4 of the sleeve. And then I've gone through one whole skein. And now I am this far. I am completed 16 out of 24 rows of the body before you start the wheat stitch pattern. So then my other thought was, I have this lavender yarn, and I thought, well, maybe I'll do the wheat stitch part in the lavender yarn. This is Impeccable. You know, a 4-weight acrylic. The Bernat Premium is a 4-weight acrylic. It might be a little bit thicker, the Bernat Premium. But I thought, well, maybe I would do the lavender in this center section. But the more I think about that, I'm like, I don't like that idea at all. And the pattern, there's like, I've done the wheat stitch before, but I think like you do 2 rows of wheat and then you do a row of like single crochet or something in there. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe I would just do the wheat stitch in the lavender. And I just don't like the idea of different colors on the front going this way. If it was this way, I would be more okay with it. But this way, you know, going up and down, I'm like, I don't think I like that. The stripes, and like, because then it would be a striped front, and maybe that would be kind of cool. But I think the wheat stitch, because it's like you pull up so many loops at a time, kind of like a bobble kind of thing. Bean, it's like similar, I think it's similar to a bean stitch. And so that's going to be kind of a yarn eater. So I'm thinking, I don't know if I really like the idea of putting the lavender in there at all, because I don't like the idea of the vertical stripes. I don't know why that's turning me off on it. Because I don't mind vertical stripes. Normally I wouldn't mind vertical stripes. I just don't think I like it in this sweater. So I have looked at, I know I bought this on Ollie's on clearance, and I think I bought 6 of them when I bought them, but I only had 4 and a little bit left, so I used it on something. I don't remember what. I wish I knew, and I'm sorry that I did. But when I was looking for yarn before I left Ohio, and I was looking for yarn for this, I think if I had more of this color, it would have been in the same, you know, bag. And that's all that was of this color in this bag. And including the partial skein, which means I did use it on something. So now I'm thinking, do I just stop and go find another purple and just... And I do have also this little bit, but it's not the same purple. And it would be noticeable. Like to just finish the bottom part of the sleeve or whatever. No. So, but I spent a lot of time on this already. Doing the sleeve took me a long time because I was counting every single stitch, every single row. Now that I'm on the body part of it, I'm not doing that anymore because I'm not increasing anymore. And when I'm sitting here just like aimlessly crocheting, because it's half double crochet, I can, you know, do that in my sleep. I forget if it was an increase row or not increase row. Did I do the increase? Did I mark it off on my chart? You know, because I'm like so not paying attention to what I'm doing. And I say, pay better attention, but then like we're watching a movie or whatever, you know, so like this is crochet I can do and watch TV, except then I find myself counting every single row because I don't remember if I increased or not when I was supposed to, or if that's the row that I'm actually on. So I have decided I'm going to continue, and I'm going to not do the wheat stitch. I'm just going to continue it in the half double crochets because it's going to get the little butterflies on it anyway. So I'm thinking if I have those little butterflies and I put them you know, kind of all over. You know, not to be gaudy, but to be cute. It's going to break up those, which, even if it's just a solid sweater, it's still going to be pretty. I mean, the stitch is nice. And I think it looks really good when you're like seeing the whole length of it. You know, it's got a lot of texture. It's got that beautiful deep purple, which is actually blending right in with my shirt. But you can see, like, it's gonna just be a pretty sweater anyway. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do the wheat stitch on it, even though, because I think the wheat stitch is, like I said, gonna be a yarn eater. And if I'm only, you know, a few yards away of having enough, if I just do the body, the whole thing in this pattern, I think I'll be okay. And then adding the butterflies to it will give it a little more cutesy. So that's what I've decided to do. And I want to tell you guys, I brought with me my yarn, my wool genie. Just on a side note, I did bring with me my wool genie on here. And I was going to use it because I brought it. I'm like, I may as well use it. We've been sitting. It's hard. I can't use it in the car. But for sitting inside the camper and crocheting, it's perfect. Or it could be, I think. I don't know. I haven't tried it really. And I went to put this on here, this skein of yarn, and the skein of yarn is taller than the yarn, than the wool genie. I have not had that with other skeins of yarn. So I was really surprised. So I dug it out, and now I can't use it. So now I really want to put it away, but it's under the bed, and it's a pain in the rear end to get to because we replaced the mattress on the bed. If you ever buy a camper, the mattress they give you sucks. Always. Always. I don't know of anyone who has ever purchased a brand new camper with, you know, their new improved mattresses. Oh, they upgraded the mattress on you. No, it sucks. And everybody I know has always replaced the mattress. So when we replaced it with a memory foam mattress, and it's heavy. Memory foam is heavy. I can't, the bed has hydraulic supports, but the mattress is too heavy. They won't support it. And I don't want to break them. So Roy has to hold it up, and then I have to dig through, and then I feel like I'm really inconveniencing him because it's not really that big of an inconvenience for him, but you know, while I make decisions and move things around, he's just got to stand there and, you know, be the brawn of the operation, and I kind of feel bad about it. So I don't ask him to do that very often, and that's why that's not put back away. But I was really shocked when I pulled out the fresh skein, and I'm like, I'm going to put this on here now that I dug it out. I didn't dig it out on purpose. I was going in there for other things, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to try that while we're parked here, and it's not working. So that's kind of sad. So that's where my progress is. Oh, by the way, I am, like I said, 16 out of 24 before we like get to the next section. I'm gonna just do, and that's where you're making now. The next section is when we'll like make the neck hole on the front. I don't know how we work it together. I like probably you go so many and then you skip some and use a second skein. I don't know how that's gonna work. I haven't read the directions or watched the tutorial that far. I know Trish always says read the whole thing, but I don't have to because I have a tutorial that's going to tell me what to do. So if I don't know how to do it, I got a tutorial, or I've got Trish, because I can always go, help me, Mama Swift. So I didn't like really show you what it's looking like. This is the bottom, and see it's got the ribbing on there. I do mark, and it was a tip in the pattern even. I do mark. You do 10 stitches of ribbing, and it says mark the stitch so that you don't forget. So I do. I mark the stitch because you're just like, did I increase this row? I don't know. So I mark the 10th stitch. This is where I'm going to start my rib section. And I put it, when I take it out of here so I can crochet in here, I put it on the stitch that I just completed, the last stitch of this, again, so that I know when I hit that stitch marker, I'm done with my rib section, and then I just put it back. So it reminds me both ways. Otherwise, you know, I'll forget. So the arm and the bottom, and that's how far I am. That's the whole length of it. And I put it over my shoulder. My granddaughter that I'm making this for is a little bit taller than me, but not much. She's not a very tall one. And to me, it goes down lower than my butt. You know, like to the bottom of my butt. So it'll be like just a little bit, maybe an inch above the bottom of her butt, which is, I think, exactly where she wants it to be. So I'm real happy with that. And hopefully the rest of it will fit her too. I mean, if it's baggy, that's fine. It's you know, it's got some ease in the shirt anyway. The sleeves are a little more form-fitting, so that's what I'm a little bit concerned about. But her arms aren't as big as me because she's not as fluffy as I am. So there's that. Then I have this cute little bag. Oh, by the way, somebody asked me, where do you get a project bag? Let me tell you, anything can be a project bag. Billie, the Crafty Floridian, makes and sells them as project bags. You can buy project bags on Etsy. Lots of people sell them there. I tend to just pick up our swag shop from Boggy Blanket Brigade, which is where my sweater, the working part of my sweater, lives. Project bag. This was just some bag I saw somewhere. Actually, I think somebody gave it to me. They did. Let me show you this side that's not all folding in. Somebody just like picked this up and sent it to me because they know that I love elephants. And so I have a lot of project bags that are elephants. Just a little canvas bag. So cute. I have, I don't know, I can't get to it. I have this big tote bag that my cousin got me at the zoo because it had elephants all over it, and she picked it up at the zoo. I have this bag here that all the yarn is living in for my sweater. I don't take this when we go in the car and I'm crocheting, but this is just a plastic, you know, like plastic canvas bag, grocery bag, picked up at Michael's or somewhere like that. Maybe TJ Maxx, I don't know. I love Baby Yoda. Not as much as elephants though. So I have that bag for a bigger project. And like I said, I have that elephant bag. I have a lot of bags. But any kind of, you can get it. It doesn't have to specifically be project bag. Any bag will work. And if you're like, go to Mary Maxim, if you spend $50, they always have a bag they give away that is designed for being a project bag. And you can buy those at yarn stores quite frequently, where you can put your skeins of yarn in and there's a hole to pull out. You can get those on Amazon. You can get those like anywhere. I have a project bag that I use that has an elephant on it that I got as a souvenir when we were at Noah's Ark in Kentucky. We did go there. I still haven't done the video. But we did go there last spring on our way home from Florida, and all the things that we did last summer, or last winter. So anything can be a project bag for those that are interested in where I get them. Anywhere and everywhere. But this one's really cute, isn't it? The problem with this one is I must have overstuffed it at one point, and it needs to be re-sewn at the bottom. And where it says sew it, I said I will when I get to another, when I have my sewing machine back. I don't want to sew it by hand. I don't think I would do a very good job. I'm not very good at sewing by hand. But I have been knitting. I have spent a lot of time. I ripped out what I was doing with that winter yarn, that practice. I thought, no. I finished the Nana June Christmas blanket. It's in the last crochet video. And I I put that yarn away because I'm not using it right now. So I put it back in the car to eliminate some clutter around the camper. And I started with the leftover. I have a cream. I think I showed you guys in the last video too. And I have a leftover green, and I have a leftover red that are just leftovers. I think this one is Big Twist. I think the green is a red heart. And then I have this leftover winter. Also Big Twist. And I'm just crocheting along, or knitting along. So I started with the cream because I asked Roy, pick one, red, green, or cream. He said, whatever you grab first. And then he said cream, which happened to be the one that I had grabbed first. So that worked out really well. And I'm purling. I'm practicing my purls because purling to me is way more difficult than the knit stitch. So I have to like stretch out the bottom because my stitches are looser at the top. I have somehow added 2 stitches from my original, but that's not the problem. I crocheted, and they told me at the yarn store it was okay. I chained to start, and then I went into the back loop. What I now know I should have done, and this is probably how I will always do it, because I was taught how to, first, the long tail cast on thing makes no sense to me. To me, that just sounds like a waste of yarn. Because what if or time, because you either I'm going to have too much or I'm not going to have enough. And I would really be, particularly because I found it so cumbersome, as I recall, to try that long tail cast on. If I got to, I needed 75 and I got to 70 and I only have this much yarn left, I'm going to be like, what? I just did all of those, I don't really remember how to do it though. So anyway, Nancy from She's Got Yarn had given me the tip. She said, you can just do a chain and then go in the back bump. So that is what I did. And I did that when I went to the yarn store, and they said a lot of people do that. It's really kind of easier, particularly from a crochet standpoint, if you're a crocheter first. So I did that, and I have learned now, I think I did it with a 6mm hook, and I'm using 6mm circular needles. I think next time I will use a bigger hook to do that crochet. I didn't know that I should, but I definitely will do that next time. And I am just purling at this point. I might later, and I'm not doing it by row count, I would do it by measure. So many inches, because this is just going to be a little cowl. So it's like this long, and I have a very short neck. And I, like if you folded it over, how you do. I think it'll be like long enough. And I'm just going to add the yarn until it's gone. I'm going to crochet this little ball, or knit this little ball until it's gone. Then I'm going to grab the next color and I'm going to purl it until it's gone. And then I'm going to grab the next color and I'm going to purl it until it's gone. And if it's long enough to be a scarf, it'll be a scarf. If it's not, it'll be a cowl. So this is a mystery knit. It's my mystery knit. It'll be whatever it turns out to be based on how much yarn I have. The knit stitch is the purl stitch is getting easier, but it's still very slow. I have spent a lot of hours doing this little bit of knitting. We were driving yesterday, and I started this in the car. And so every time we were driving, when I wasn't sightseeing, I knitted on this, which probably amounts to a couple of hours for sure that I knitted on it. I knitted on it a little bit this morning. We went to the store, so I probably spent And I knitted on it a little bit last night before I went back to my sweater. So I have probably spent as much time knitting this as I have spent knitting that darn sweater. No, the sleeve really took me a long time. Crocheting that sweater. People will tell me that knitting is slower and uses less yarn. I agree with the less yarn part. And for me, it's definitely slower because I'm just not that good at it. But, you know, if you're looking at maybe this is a single crochet or half double crochet height, still really slow. If I was knitting and not purling, it would go much faster for me. Knitting seems to me to be a lot of the same movements with my hands. Wrapping the yarn and stuff I can do very quickly with knitting. With purling, you have to, with knitting, I call this my stationary stick. With knitting, you go like under and behind, and I can wrap, and the way I hold my yarn when I crochet, and now when I knit, I can just kind of grab it like I do when I crochet. I can come under here, wrap that yarn, and grab it just like a crochet. And so this is way easier for me than when you've got your yarn on the wrong side of your permanent stick. And now I have to go down. I know they say left to right, right to left. I do not know my left from right. I really have to look which hand do I write with. So I am using my permanent stick, and it stays permanent like this. And so the working stick has to go down inside. So you might call it left to right or right to left. I call it down. It goes down, and then I have to wrap the yarn with the wrong way. Like I can't put this the working stick in, or needle, and grab my yarn and pull it around like I can when I knit or crochet. I have to like use my thumb to make it stay on the needle. And so that's a little, I've gotten good at using the thumb, except the tension on, that's where my issue comes from. When I started out, and I can start it out and I can wrap the yarn and I can pull it off, pick it off, I guess that's what they call it. But then eventually things get loose. And I don't know why. But I'm much faster than I was. And I know I've seen people where they're, and I don't know how they do that, but they're like using this hand to wrap the yarn. I don't understand how you do that, because all my stuff's gonna fall. But so it's slow to do this, because I have to use my thumb, and you have to move the yarn up and down, up on the one needle and down on the other needle, and so that's how I am doing it. And I'm trying to like figure out the best way to keep it flowing, like be able to keep my tension. See, now the tension's gotten loose. Keep my tension and keep my work moving without having to undo when I've got it working good and got my tension good, and then all of a sudden I run out of needle, or I've got too much needle, and so then I need to move things around, and then I have to start all over with the whole getting the right amount of, and I'm sure that comes all with practice, but like getting and keeping the right amount of tension through the whole row without having to reset up That's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. And I know when I'm crocheting, you redo your hand. That's, your yarn hand several times. Like, you have to move your work down, and I get it. And when I'm knitting, it's not such a big deal. But when I'm doing this purl stitch, because I find it more harder and I'm much more fumbly with it, obviously I just need a lot more practice. But it just seems to be going so slowly. And which makes me say, okay, just start knitting. Just start knitting for a while. Measure this and then knit that much. Because that's how I'm not doing it by row counts, because I don't know how to count the rows. And I don't care. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be equal. It's going to turn out to whatever it turns out to be. A long strip or a short strip. I don't know. Depends on how far the yarn goes. I don't know how much yarn it is. It was just leftover. So it's my scrap cowl neck thing, whatever it turns out to be. So that's how long it takes me to do one row and talk. So it's going faster, but it's still going slow. Because it's only like 31 stitches. Well, 32 now that I added an extra stitch. It started out at 30. But I don't think it's going to matter if I have an extra stitch here and there, because I'm probably going to screw it up the other way sooner or later. And I do occasionally count them. But there was twice when I couldn't tell if I had completed the stitch and it fell off. Well, actually, there were 3 times that happened. I thought I picked it off, and I wasn't sure. And it looked like there was no stitch there the first time. So, I'm not losing that stitch, so I just did it. At the end, I counted, and I had an extra stitch. And I'm like, dang it. So I tried to go back and take it off, and but I couldn't figure out where I had made the mistake. I thought I would be able to tell, but I couldn't. So then the second time it happened, I'm like, oh no, I definitely dropped that. And so I picked it up and did it again. And I counted, and I'm like, but I don't know where that is. I had no clue where to find that back one. The third time, because when you're picking them off, we were in the car, and as I'm like pulling the stitch off the stationery, my left hand, as I'm trying to pull it off of there, Roy hit a bump, and my needles kind of went like that, and I'm like, oh no. But I thought, well, dummy, count how many you got on this needle, and then how many you got on this needle, and if you still have 32, you didn't drop that stitch. So that's what I did, and I still had 32, so I just continued on. And I'm like, well, that's a good way to figure it out. So thank God it was only one stitch I was worried about, because if that happened and I dropped several, if I dropped one, I could probably figure it out. If I dropped several off of there, I don't know. I'd have to be going on YouTube. How do I fix it? Which piece is the one I need? How do I pick it up? But anyway, it's a learning process, and I'm not mad at it. I do enjoy doing it, and I have done other projects. I've always enjoyed doing it. And I love the look of knitted fabric, whatever it is that people make. I love the look of it. So it's time that I really knuckled under and figured out what I'm doing when I'm knitting. Because when I knitted that blanket, that my daughter totally loves the blanket, when I knitted it, I literally sat with a book next to me every single time and tried to figure out what stitch I was doing. And the whole time I was doing the stitch wrong. But I didn't know. And it looked fine. But I was putting my needle in. You always keep, for regular, my understanding anyway, for regular knitting and regular purling, your moving one, your working needle always starts in the front of the stationary needle. And when I was knitting, I was putting it behind the stationary needle. So I was doing the back loop. I was knitting in the back loop. I think that's how they say it. Just like crocheting in the back loop. But I had no idea I was knitting in the back loop. And to me, it still made the V's, which was what I wanted on my blanket. So whatever I was doing, I was still making the V's. And I still did it, it still made the V's. So that's what I wanted. But now, after sitting down with Martina, I know I'm understanding the stitch more and like what makes it that stitch. So it's more sinking in easier, I think, in the old dog, new tricks. Takes a while. So the old dog is figuring out the new trick, and I'm enjoying it very much. So now this is my knitting journey, and it's like, really, I feel like I'm going to be a knitter now. Not that I'm giving up crochet, by no means, because I still have, it's just adding another list of projects to make. That's what we're doing here. That's the bottom line. What other new projects can I find? I have my goal. I went to go to the store, to the yarn store today, Knit and Purl in Surfside Beach, South Carolina, to get the pattern, because I bought that kit for this beautiful fun shawl with this beautiful fun yarn, and the pattern wasn't in the kit. So, and it's a paid for pattern. Otherwise, I tried to like download it, but I think it was supposed to come with the kit. So we just are missing it. And they were closed today for the holiday, which I'm not surprised. I would have really been surprised if she was open. But I will go. I know they're open over the weekend, and we are leaving on Sunday, so I have to get it Friday or Saturday. So I will be there again, but just to pick up the pattern, we're, have to get ready to move. And that means I got to get little things put away, and everything has to be, I want to do the laundry before we leave, all the packing up, everything has to be done, everything has to find its home again. We have not lived in this camper for this period of time before without moving, so there's a lot of little things that I have left out, because it's just easier to leave the coffee pot out than to put it away all the time. It goes in a little cubby hole at the back. So I'm not, I mean, I would leave it out regardless. If we were going to be here more than one day, I would leave it out anyway. But just things, so we have a spice rack above the stove, and we added spices to the spice rack, and so he got those fitting in there today. And then you have to put up a bar so they don't fall out when you're traveling. So, all the doors have to be locked, just so that things don't pop open and things get broken then. So, clean out the refrigerator, make sure everything fits in there really well so it doesn't all break while we're traveling. And so a lot of that will be done on Saturday. So that when we get up, it's just like grab some breakfast and unhook everything. And then we can be on our way. So everything else has to get done Friday and Saturday. So back to the yarn store. Oh, bummer, man. Gotta go back to the yarn store. Well, guys, that's all I have for you today. I know I chatted a lot, didn't I? I guess I missed you. I haven't talked to yarn in a couple days. And now we have knit to talk about too. How exciting is that? I've been watching some knitters, and just a short little note, I watched this guy today who went on for several minutes about give yourself a break, knitting's hard. Anybody tells you that knitting isn't hard is not telling you the truth. I'm like, I needed this guy today. So there we go. He says you're gonna make mistakes, And just know that there's 1,000 mistakes you can make. So every one that you make is just one you can cross off the list. I did that one. That leaves 999 to go. I'm like, there we are. I don't want to count that I made that many mistakes. But it's all good. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, all those things that YouTube loves. I really appreciate it if you do those too. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.